Welcome back to my channel. Today is the Lunar New Year Eve. So, 恭喜发财! I wish you a happy and prosperous New Year. I have made a few videos about how Chinese people celebrate their holidays, such as the New Year, the Moon Festival, etc. Here's the link to my video about celebrating the Moon Festival I made earlier this year. There are many festivals in the lunar calendar. I'll make more videos about these festivals and poetry about them in the future. Please let me know if there is any festival in the lunar calendar you would like to know more about. I'm more than happy to make videos about them. I'm Dr. Gao, a philosopher obsessed with poetry. I make videos about classical Chinese poetry, philosophies, and classical Chinese medicine. If you like the content of my videos, please click the like button and subscribe my channel. I also offer one-to-one online lessons on these subjects. So if you would like to read original text with me, please contact me. Here's my email address. I would like to thank Theodoso Reva's contribution to my channel. Sorry if I did not pronounce your name correctly. I learned this from the internet. Theodoso dug out my PayPal link and made some payments. Thank you, Theodoso, for going through all the trouble to support me. I appreciate any donation from you guys. So I just set up a Patreon account link to my channel. So if you would like to support me by donating, you can either go to my channel's homepage or the description section to find the Patreon link. Thank you again for all the support and encouragement you have offered me, either by subscribing my channel, making a comment, or a donation. Your financial support marks a new face to my channel, and it just gave me another reason to make more and better videos for you. The upcoming year is the Year of Dragon, and it is a wood dragon. So today I'm going to talk about the dragon and translate a poem about the dragons. Dragon is a very important symbol in Chinese culture and politics and has a rather complicated connection with Chinese cosmology, philosophies, and political ideology. It is probably not possible to present a comprehensive account of the cultural, philosophical, historical, and political meanings of the dragon. So I'm just going to focus on the cultural and political significances of dragon, and it will be a oversimplified account so that it will fit in with the time constraint we have for one video. Of course, if you would like to know more about the Chinese dragons, please don't hesitate to ask in the comment section. Dragon is a mythical creature that carries huge cultural and political significance in the region we call China today. The earliest evidence of the dragon myth is an archaeological discovery made in 1987. A dragon and a tiger patterns made of arranged seashells were discovered at a tomb in Henan Xishuipo. The patterns follow the mythical belief that the dragon governs the east and the tiger governs the west, according to the Chinese mythology. The other two mythical creatures are the Zhuque, or the vermilion bird that governs the south, and the Xuanwu, the black tortoise, that governs the north. The Chinese cartographic convention or yutu is to have the south on top and north at the bottom, east at the left and west at the right. I can't find a good picture of the four mythical creatures with the Chinese convention, so the character in this picture is upside down. I find this picture from a contemporary Japanese webpage, which I listed in the description section down below. The burial site is dated about 6,500 years ago. so that it is clear the people lived in Henan province had imagined the dragon myth for more than 6,000 years. The image of dragon is a common theme in paintings. The best known painting is by a Southern Song Dynasty artist named Chen Rong. In his painting, in the title of 九龙图卷, or Portrait of Nine Dragons, it is a scroll more than 9 meters long and about half a meter wide. The painting is currently housed at the Boston Museum of Fine Arts. I would love to view the painting if I have a chance. If you live near Boston, I strongly recommend you to visit the museum. Here are the 3 fragments from the scroll. Dragon was not a symbol associated with royal power before the Qin dynasty of the 3rd century BCE. According to some historical accounts, dragons were raised like cattle in prehistorical time. In 左传, or Master Zhuo's Annual, a historian of Jin state told his premier Wei Shu that in ancient time, there was a man who can tame the dragons and train them to drive carriages for King Shun. It was reported that a dragon appeared at the outskirts of the Jin state capital in 544 BCE. The philosophical text Zhuangzi chapter 2 also talks about a spirited man riding on a flying dragon to wander around. The great poet of the Warring State period, Qu Yuan, also mentioned that he would like to ride on a carriage driven by dragons in his poem. So did the great Tang Dynasty poet Li Bai. I might translate Li Bai's poem about his fantasy of traveling to the immortal land on a carriage driven by 6 dragons. Let me know if you would like to hear about this poem. Another text, 山海经, or the classic of mountains and seas, also mentioned several kinds of dragons. The 2 most significant ones are 应龙, or dragon with wings, or 祝龙, or torch dragon. According to the classic of mountains and seas, 应龙, or dragon with wings, lived in the northern plain. There are 2 pictures of 应龙 from the classics of mountains and seas. This dragon joined the Yellow Emperor to fight another tribal people led by 蚩尤 and won the battle. After 应龙 killed 蚩尤, it helped the Yellow Emperor conquer another tribe and was given the land in the south. It was reported 应龙 was able to control water and make rains. It seems that all dragons are capable of making rains or control waters. For instance, all the seas were supposedly governed by dragon kings. It is also a common practice in China to pray to a dragon king for rain whenever there is a drought. There are 4 dragon kings from the Monkey King story. Each of them is the lord of one of the 4 seas to the north, south, east, and west. The other dragon recorded in the classics of mountains and seas is 祝龙, or the torch dragon. This dragon is huge. It is supposedly 1,000 miles long and it has a human face with vertical eyes. It lives in the far northwest where there is no light. The only light comes from 祝龙, who holds a fire seed in its mouth. When it opens its eyes, it is daytime. When it closes its eyes, it's nighttime. Because it lights up the dark land, it is also called 祝阴 or 祝九阴, or torch of dark land. It does not need to eat, sleep, or rest. It can bring about wind and rain, and it is the god of Mountain Zhong. Here are two images of 祝龙 from the Chinese edition and a Japanese edition of the classic of mountains and seas. And here is a modern rendering of 祝龙. Dragons are also supposedly quite promiscuous. It mate with many other animals and gave birth to dragons that look very different from each other. Here are two catalogs from Taobao, the Chinese eBay, depicting the 9 kinds of dragons. From their looks, you can easily guess who are the mothers of these dragons. They are tigers, cow, frog, turtle, cubs, etc. The cultural significance of dragons are mostly related to water. The rituals can be praying for rain, praying for flood control or prevention, or safety on the sea. These rituals are often performed at the temples of the dragon kings, who are in charge of rain, rivers, and the sea. The association of dragon to an emperor personally started by Qin Shi Huang, or the first emperor of Qin dynasty. He was referred as 祝龙, or the old dragon. There is still debate about whether he used the term as a self-reference. Some scholars argue that he did and used the image of dragon to justify his expeditions of conquering all the other remaining 6 kingdoms and unify the whole China. Did he decorate his imperial robes with embroidered dragons like the later emperors? Scholars still debate about it. But what the scholars' consensus on is the color of his imperial robe. This is related to the thoughts of Yin-Yang school from the late Warring State period. This school believed that everything in the universe follows the 5-phase cycle, including dynasties. And each dynasty had its unique properties corresponding with the phase it was at. For instance, they believed that the Zhou dynasty possessed the virtue of fire. Hence, of the official color for the imperial robe is red. The Qin replaced the Zhou by force, so it was at the phase of water and took the properties of water, because water extinguishes fire. Hence, the color of the imperial robe of the first emperor should be black. That is the color of water phase. So his imperial robe should look like this. This belief in the 5-phase cycle of dynastic changes may or may not be true for the first emperor, but such belief was firmly established during the Han Dynasty, which replaced the Qin by force. And the Han Dynasty supposedly had the virtue of earth, which was claimed during the Western Han Dynasty. However, the Han Dynasty was cut off in the middle, and the later Han Emperor claimed that they inherited the virtue of the Zhou Dynasty. So in the portraits of the later Han Emperors, they all wore robes with a lot of red in it. It is also confirmed that the Han Emperors identified themselves with dragons. So the Han Imperial robes is decorated with embroidered dragons. It has also other auspicious animals such as a phoenix on it. Now, let me explain briefly the connection between different phases in the 5-phase cycle. There are 2 major kinds of connections, sheng and ke. Sheng means to give birth to give rise to, or to support, etc. Ke means to oppose, to fight against, or to conquer. So if a dynasty starts by conquering the previous dynasty, as in the case of the Qin dynasty took over the Zhou dynasty by conquering all its kingdoms, its connection with the previous dynasty was that of Ke. As I mentioned earlier, the virtue of Zhou was fire. To counter fire, the first emperor claimed that his dynasty had the virtue of water, and his imperial robe was black. If a dynasty starts with abdication of the last dynasty's emperor, although a false one most times, the new dynasty could claim that they had the endorsement of the last dynasty, so their connection with the last dynasty was regarded as a Sheng relation, as in the case of Cao Pi, who claimed the virtue of earth for his new dynasty, because the virtue of the later Han dynasty is fire, and fire gave rise to earth. This belief had been adopted by almost all subsequent dynasties until the last one, the Qing dynasty, who claimed that their virtue was that of water phase. This story of the five phase and its virtue are a bit of detour in this video. However, it shows that the dragon symbol as the royal power was not as important as the five phase belief. For instance, dragon did not appear on every imperial robe, but the official robes for the emperor and his officials stick to the color that reflects the designated virtues of their dynasties. For instance, the Shang dynasty claimed that their virtue was that of fire, so the color of its official robes were red. So was the Ming dynasty, whose virtue was also fire, and their robes were red. It is also true that in the later dynasties, the color code was not strictly complied by the royal family. Here are several robes designed for the Ming emperor listed in a dressing code issued by the first Ming dynasty emperor Zhu Yuanzhang. The emperors often had different official robes for different occasions. As the royal wardrobe became more and more colorful and the color code converted more and more to yellow, the dragon symbol became more and more prominent. The emperors of the last dynasty almost exclusively wore the yellow color and covered their robes with dragons, excluding all the other auspicious symbols. The imperial robe also became the dragon robe, or Longpao, that can only be worn by the royal family member. Here are the pictures I find on the internet of the robes worn by the Qing princes, the emperors, and the princesses. The last one is a photo. The patterns on her robe might be a bit blurred, but according to the dressing code of the Qing royal family, the first-rank princess could have 9 dragons embroidered on her formal imperial robe. The Qing dynasty is also the one that consolidates the connection between the dragon symbol and the royal power. However, even the Qing emperors could not take the dragon for themselves like the color yellow. They had to share dragon symbol with the commoners because the cultural significance of dragon was too deeply rooted in the Han Chinese culture. The poem I choose for today is one from the Tang Dynasty by a well-known literary figure Han Yu, who lived between 768 to 824 AD. He was known as one of the 8 leading literary figures of the Tang and Song dynasties, or Tang Sheng 八大家, who had a huge influence on the trend of poetry and other forms of literature in the subsequent dynasties. I might make a video about him and his poetry in the future if you guys are interested. The title of the poem is 龙仪, or Dragon Migrate. It has only 4 lines, but it paints a vivid picture of the huge impacts the dragon migration has to its environment. Now, let me read the poem in Chinese first. 天昏地黑蛟龙仪，雷惊电击熊池水。清泉百丈化为土，鱼鳖枯死欲可悲。Now, let's look at the first couplet. 天昏地黑蛟龙移，雷惊电击熊池水。天 means sky, 昏 means murky, 地 means earth, 黑 means darkened. Jiao refers to a type of dragons that live in the water. There are many different accounts about this kind of dragons. I won't have time to get into details. It suffices to say that Jiao is an inferior type of dragon. Unlike most dragons, Jiao cannot fly. According to a Sheng text, 树易记 of Strange Tales, a water vapor can transform itself to a jiao after 500 years of self-cultivation. If a jiao works hard on self-cultivation for another 1,000 years, it can transform itself into a horned dragon. And another 1,000 years, it can become a winged dragon that can fly. However, the transformation from a jiao to a dragon is very hard. Most of them died during the process. Jiao is an aggressive and volatile creature most times. It has insatiable appetite and needs to eat a lot. When its needs were not met, it would bring huge flood and disasters. So many of them were killed by Taoist priests to prevent the flood. They also have to endure many tests before they can turn themselves into dragons, and many of them did not survive the test. Jiao is like a juvenile dragon, only the stake of losing is much higher than human. A Ming Dynasty scholar named Zhang Jibai reported in his 业余拜史, or the Unofficial History of 业余, a jiao was killed by lightning in 1380 at Lake Erhai in today's Yunnan province. It was nearly 10 meters long and had golden scales. The locals carved up its body and took home its meat. It was reported that its meat was very tasty. How tragic for the jiao. The term jiao and long are often used together as a generic term referring to dragons. Yi literally means to move or migrate, but here I think it refers to the transformation process from a jiao to a dragon, because when such transformation occurs, the jiao needed to draw all the life forces or vitality from its surroundings, often bring death to all the creatures living near it, as described in the next couplet. I picked these three pictures to show the transformation from a water vapor to a dragon. 雷 means thunder, 惊 means shock, 电 means lightning, 鸡 means flash, 熊 means male, 池 means female, 水 means follow. So the two lines can be translated as murky sky and darkened earth, dragons migrate. Rolling thunder and flashing lightning, a female dragon follows a male one. 清泉百丈化为土，鱼鳖枯死欲可悲。清 means clear. 泉 literally means spring, but here it refers to the creek formed by a spring. 百 means 100. 丈 is a measurement for length. It is a bit longer than 3 meters, so it is an equivalent of yard. 化为 means turn into. 土 means dirt. 鱼 means fish. 鳖 means turtle. 枯 means wither. 死 means die. 欲 means shy. 可悲 means to be sad or to be made sad. So David and I translate it as lamentation. So this couplet can be translated as the 100-yard clear creek turned into dirt. Fish and turtles wither and die. I sigh in lamentation. As I mentioned earlier, this poem describes the transformation from a jiao to a long, or dragon. It is a common theme among many mythical stories that a snake, a carp, or any water creatures, through their own effort, can transform themselves to the almighty dragons. For instance, a well-known story is of 鲤鱼跳龙门, or a carp jump through a dragon's threshold and then become a dragon. Such stories also acquire political significance to represent social mobility. For instance, a son of a farmer might become a high-rank official by passing all levels of civil service examinations. Or a student passed the entry exam to a university in contemporary China has changed his or her, as well as their family's social status from a low class to the middle class, etc. This poem presents an accurate representation of such transformation. This transformation is not only a long and grueling process for the one involved in the transformation, but also a drain to all the resources around it during the process. The dragon sucked dry the vitality of all creatures around it, as listed in this poem. The creek they used to live dried up. The fish and turtles withered and died. The same is true for the person who tried to cross the class boundary via civil service examination or 高考, the entry exam to university in contemporary China. The family members, sometimes including the extended family members, had to pool all its resources to fund their son's education, hoping one day one of them was able to jump over the dragon's threshold and change their fate, or cross the class barrier from the manual labor to professionals in contemporary China. Even today, China is still a highly hierarchical society, and it is getting harder for people to move up the social ladder. The story of 鲤鱼跳龙门, or a carp jump through a dragon's threshold and then become a dragon, still has a huge political significance today. I'm Dr. Gao, a philosopher obsessed with poetry. I make videos about classical Chinese poetry, philosophies, and traditional Chinese medicine. If you like the content of my videos, please click the like button and subscribe my channel. If you would like to make a donation to support my channel, you can find the link in my homepage of the channel or the description section down below. I also offer one-to-one online lessons on these subjects. If you would like to read the original Chinese text with me, please contact me. Here's my email address. Thanks for watching my video. I'll see you next time.